Hello to everyone in St. Paul, Assistant Secretary of the Air Force Craig During, General McKinley, General Shellito, General Nash, Governor Pawlenty, and distinguished guests, and all of the soldiers and friends and families of the 34th Infantry Division. Well, I would much rather be with you in Minnesota tonight, as you can imagine. We have a few things going on in Washington, so I'm joining you via video instead. It's always an honor for me to speak to Minnesota's Red Bulls and to join everyone there in expressing our gratitude for your service and our prayers for your successful mission. A member of my Minnesota staff, Martin Ludden, will also be deploying to Iraq with the Army Reserves in the near future. So I have an extra appreciation for the special and challenging role that you play in today's world. Martin's been doing our work with our veterans and with the returning soldiers, and we're going to miss him, but we know he's needed. I am reminded time and time again of how important it is to keep the story short, especially when you're facing a steak dinner. The governor's heard me tell this story before. We both went down to Oklahoma this summer, and it was boiling hot, 109 degrees during a deployment ceremony at Fort Sill. During the course of that hour-long ceremony, 37 people fainted. They're all fine. I got back to Minnesota. I'm on the phone at home and talking to a friend, telling her how 37 people fainted at the ceremony, and all of a sudden my 13-year-old daughter jumps up, runs to the top of the stairs and yells down, "Dad, Mom talked so long today that 37 people fainted." Okay, I really only talked 5 minutes, but it reminded me that we must be brief. This is a ceremony that is weighted with so many emotions of pride and admiration, of hope and concern, of anticipation of the mission ahead, and sadness for families about to be separated. But we all know that this is your moment to shine. This is what you have trained and practiced for. And we must be there for you and for your families. This is a state where we wrap our arms around those who serve and sacrifice for us. That's why we fought so hard to secure funding for the great program that the Guard in Minnesota started, Beyond the Yellow Ribbon. It provides support to you and your families before, during, and after periods of mobilization to active duty. I believe so strongly in this program that we've worked to create a national program based on the good work of your leaders in Minnesota. And although you are thousands of miles away, you remain in our thoughts every day. America has a responsibility to do right by our soldiers, just as each one of you is doing right by our nation. And we're working hard to make sure that you and your families get all the support that you deserve. That's why last year, our Congress passed a major increase in funding for veterans, including new funding for soldiers' medical care. It was actually the biggest increase in the history of this country. We also passed a GI Bill for the 21st century. It's the right thing to do, and it's long overdue. Because when you signed up to serve, there wasn't a waiting line. And when you come home to the United States of America and you need health care or a job or an education line, there shouldn't be a waiting line in this country. We know that you every day stand up for our country and our ideals. And today I want you to know that we stand with you. To the men and women of the 34th Infantry, I want to say that we are deeply grateful every day for your service. It's a deep sacrifice for you and your families, but you're also fulfilling a profound duty and responsibility to our nation. Each one of you has found in yourself a duty to serve. And with your service, you follow in a long and proud Minnesota tradition. During the Civil War's Battle of Gettysburg, it was the 250 members of the 1st Minnesota who held the line against 1,600 Confederate troops while much-needed reinforcements were brought in for the Union side. I remember standing there just this past fall at the monument to that ragtag group of Minnesota soldiers, the highest casualty in the Civil War. From the ridges of Gettysburg to the beaches of Normandy, from the hills of Korea to the jungles of Vietnam, from the mountains of Afghanistan to the sands of Iraq, Minnesota soldiers have made our state proud. I had the privilege of meeting with many of your fellow soldiers when I last visited Iraq. I didn't hear complaints about anything, not about the heat or the equipment or the food, and I just heard two things. It was March. So my first question was who was winning the state hockey tournament. And the second was could I call and let their families know that they were okay. When I got back, I talked to over 50 families, wives and husbands, and a lot of moms. Heard a little different story of how difficult it had been for their families and how much they missed all of you, all of our soldiers. But they knew they were doing the right thing. The Red Bulls have a long history of sacrifice and service to our country. Your insignia was inspired by the training of your predecessors as they prepared to fight in World War I. And the Red Bills have today made history after serving the longest tour of duty of any unit of any branch in Operation Iraqi Freedom. As you prepare to return to Iraq, I'm reminded of Anna Ramsey, who was the wife of then Minnesota Governor Alexander Ramsey, who, like Mary Palenti, has done such a good job in taking care of our troops and their families. When the wife, Anna Ramsey, bid goodbye to the citizen soldiers of the 1st Minnesota Regiment as they prepared to depart to fight so bravely in the Civil War, she said, and this is a quote, "To you is reserved a proud destiny. The solicitude and love of the entire state will follow you. In your hands, we feel that the honor of our young state is safe." Today, you follow in the great tradition of Minnesota citizen soldiers who've done our state and our country proud in every battle. And today, we send up a prayer for your safety and success. For as it was said 150 years ago, in your hands, we feel that the honor of our state and our country are safe. Thank you so much, and I wish you the best in your mission. We will see you back home soon.